Good evening, viewers, and welcome back to Prime Live. I mean, you did kind of interrupt a very, very cool conversation that we were having off screen, but we will be sharing that with you very shortly. We are so privileged to be joined by Faye Goodwin, who is an experienced professional coach and healing specialist who integrates the intuitive power of horses into her unique coaching practice. In over 10 years, Faye has transformed countless lives by fostering deeper connections within families and within teams as well. Now, she has a reputation for combining traditional coaching techniques with nature-based healing as well. Faye, good evening. Thank you so much for joining us on Prime Live.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
I mean, I was really enjoying our conversation. We'll share that a little bit later with our viewers this evening. But what I find so incredible about you is that you were not always in the healing space. So Can you tell us a bit more about your journey? How did you decide to delve into the space of healing as well as coaching?
So I always wanted to be in healing, but I was offered a position in accounts, and I was good at accounts when I was younger, and so you follow what you're good at. And one day, I have 2 children, and one day I woke up and I thought, is this as good as it gets? And, you know, having studied the traditional psychology route and all of that, it wasn't giving me what I wanted. Accounts wasn't giving me what I wanted. And I went off to see a life coach, and I really liked her teachings. I loved what she was showing me, and how, you know, a normal life could just be so much different. And I studied up on the teaching that she was teaching me, and I went and I joined Martha Beck Coaching. I became a life coach, and then I was exposed to Equius coaching. From the minute that I started with that, my personal experience was so huge that I just wanted to share it with other people.
I mean, that's exactly what our conversation was just before we got into the interview. I mean, coming from a wildly different background, you know, from accounting to the healing space. I mean, it goes to show that life is not one-dimensional. You always can find your passion or something you really, really love to do. Not necessarily that somebody told you were good at, but your passion and something that makes you feel like you're fulfilling a greater purpose, sometimes a bit later in life, and that it's okay to take, you know, a different direction in 100%. Terms of your career. You end up happier, and you can help so many people as well.
Absolutely.
Now, I'm an animal lover, and I absolutely love horses. And something that's incredibly unique about your approach is that you integrate the power of nature and environment as well as working with horses when it comes to healing. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So for all my people, when they come for a coaching session, when I tell them what to expect and all of that, I tell them to expect to engage with the full 5 senses. You are going to be out in nature, you're going to get dirty, you're going to feel nature, you're going to touch nature, you're going to smell nature, you're going to taste nature. So you embrace all the senses. And it's just such a magical experience to be able to take somebody who might have a block, and they might be working with psychologists, psychiatrists, other life coaches, but they're just not able to pass by that block. And to put them with a gentle horse, and the horses aren't trained. The kind of work that I do, I can go anywhere, I can use any horse. They're not trained. And I will put my person who doesn't need to be horsey at all. They don't need to have been near a horse ever in their life. They don't need to like horses. They can be scared. It doesn't matter. As long as they can identify that for themselves and be honest with themselves. That's all that they need. That's the only challenge for the day, is that they need to be honest with themselves. And to be open to have the most wonderful experience beside a horse, out in the open.
I really love that. I mean, connecting with nature and connecting with animals can be incredibly healing. Yes. And we were talking about how we're surrounded by tall buildings that are stark and clinical all the time because we live such a fast-paced lifestyle in the city. And that sometimes has a way to dampen our spirits in so many ways. And a lot of the teenagers in today's time spend more time on their phones than they do outside. Then maybe my generation, who would spend a lot more time outside, looking at the trees, looking at the grass, engaging encouraging, going to enjoy some outdoor activities. And animals have an incredible way of healing. They're so intuitive and so understanding.
Absolutely.
And sometimes even if you're perhaps afraid of the horse, it's a challenge that you can put yourself forward to connect in a way that you haven't before. And from what I understand as well is you work with a variety of different groups. You work with individuals, you work with teams, you work with teenagers as well. How do you manage to basically adapt your methodologies and your techniques of coaching to the different groups of people that you interact with?
So individuals and teens, the coaching session will look largely similar, but obviously it's not. I don't follow a script. We go in, and it's one of the few coaching areas where the client really gets to choose exactly what it is that they're wanting to do and what challenge that they're wanting to work on. It's the most wonderful way to actually work with a teenager, because sitting with a teenager, especially because they're so used to being on their phones or gaming or that, to sit with a teenager and to have a conversation with them is really difficult. But if you put a horse in between, the horse just allows the teenager to relax. The horse allows anybody to relax, but especially the teens, it allows them to relax and to actually start engaging with you and to start opening up about what their problems could be. And that's a wonderful avenue for us to get in to start coaching. And they're able to work with the horses and to actually see how they're showing up. And if they like it, we can go deeper with it. If they're not liking how the horse is showing up, it's an area of themselves that the horse is just mirroring. And if they don't like it, then that's okay. We play with it and we get it to be something that they like. If I'm working with a team, if it's a corporate team, obviously I will have spoken to the company owner or the manager on what exactly they're wanting. If they're just wanting to really build this group of people that have been forced to work together to become a team, then it's just quite easy. If we're looking for who are the leaders leading, are they leading effectively, we're going to put in different little activities that we're going to do with the people and the horses. So it's all just, the horse at the end of the day is the one that really just brings it all together.
I love that. I love that it's a tailor-made experience to each individual or 100%. Each type of setting. It's not a standard methodology that's, enforced on everyone. I think that's what makes it so effective, is that different people respond and heal in different ways. Absolutely. And I love that you have this way of incorporating different methodologies and techniques to suit the people that you are
and that's
healing.
What makes it so much fun.
Exactly. Now, what I also want to talk about a bit more is this connection between an individual and a horse. And what do you find is why does the connection, why is it so powerful and so effective when it comes to the healing process? What have you found that, a connection between a human and a horse really makes it effective for people to be able to heal and open up and move forward from a traumatic experience, for example?
So, first of all, horses don't lie. Horses are not in it to please you. It's wonderful. A lot of people work with dogs, and that's really wonderful, but dogs really often want to please you, whereas a horse doesn't have that. The horse doesn't want to do that. And all the time, the horse is either going to be mirroring you or the horse is going to be responding to you. So the clients will work with the horse, and they'll be able to see in a particular exercise that they're doing, are they seeing themselves or are they seeing everybody else? If they're seeing themselves, for instance, if someone is not very assertive, when they walk into the pen, the horse is either not going to respond to them or the horse is going to respond like everybody else responds. The horse is not going to be assertive, or the horse is going to respond exactly like everyone else does, and everyone else generally to a non-assertive person is going to ignore them. And you'll ask the client, do you like that? And generally the answer is going to be no, I don't. Well, let's get more assertive. And a lot of people confuse being aggressive or being really loud as being assertive, but it's really not. And so we'll work on being more assertive. And, the horse is going to start to respond to the person. The horse is going to, as they get bigger, the horse is going to start running a little bit or moving maybe it's too big, maybe it's too much, and so then, we get that playful energy down a little bit, and until the client likes what they're seeing with the horse and they feel comfortable, what they're seeing, what they're projecting, what the horse is mirroring back to them is something that's really good and comfortable for them. And what the horse also does is the horse also lets all our barriers, for that moment that we're in with the horse just lets all those barriers go. And you just are there just to grow and to heal. And the horse is very respectful. It'll come and it'll ask you if it can heal you. And then the horse will slowly start to heal you. And 9 times out of 10, people cry. But it's very healing. It's healing tears. It's not, it's not silly tears or that. It's all part of the journey. And even if my clients do nothing, if they just stand at the pen gate without even going in, the horse's heart rate and breathing is slower at a state of calm. It's slower than humans. And so our bodies start to sink into that. And so our heart rate and our breathing goes down to a state of calm. And then our brain gets the message, my body is at calm, I can calm down. And so there's just so much that happens, but generally that's the short.
I love that. This is incredibly fascinating to hear your technique and, hear about how people are finding alternative ways to heal and connecting back with nature, which I absolutely love to hear that. Before we let you go, can you please share some tips and advice for viewers at home who are maybe starting out their healing journey and don't know quite yet where to start? And maybe also if you could please share your social media handles or your contact details should anyone want to get hold of you.
Sure. So, the kind of work that I do, the horse is untrained. I've been trained in helping people. There are a lot of therapists out there that are working with horses. My advice to people is, if your therapist makes you feel uncomfortable, get a different person. If your therapist is telling you that the horse is doing this, if you are working with a horse, the horse is doing this and this means whatever, get another therapist, because the therapist doesn't know your life story. And yes, they might be very horsey people in that, but the client knows the story. The client makes whatever the horse is doing, it's their journey, it's their story. It's not for someone else to tell you, the horse is doing this and therefore you are that. So, but, it's the kind of thing that you won't be sorry. And you don't need to be going through trauma. You can just be wanting to live a better life, just to be wanting to have a happier life. And, just gift yourself that day out in the sun with the horse, with nature, it's just the best thing that you can possibly do for yourself. I'd recommend it to everybody. And if people are struggling to find anywhere to go, they're welcome to contact me. I'll help put them in touch with someone. If they're wanting to come and work with me, they're absolutely welcome. They can email me at faye@fayegoodwin.com. And I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, and I'm happy to help.
Thank you so much for that advice and for joining us this evening. I'm really, really fascinated by our conversation, and I've learned so much, and I love seeing, different approaches to healing and healing journeys as well. And like you said, healing is not just about confronting trauma. It's sometimes reaching for a better life or trying to grow as an individual or trying to reach for more. So thank you so much for joining us this evening, for sharing your insight and your valuable knowledge with us this evening.
It's a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's such a pleasure. Viewers at home, that was Faye, and we were talking about all things alternative healing, reconnecting with nature and connecting with horses. If this conversation resonates with you in any way, or you're starting your healing journey or looking for an alternative method of healing and something just fun and exciting and different, And like Faye said, getting your face out in the sun and enjoying a wonderful day with some beautiful, beautiful horses, and finding your way to healing or maybe to success. Whichever your journey is, please do reach out to Faye on LinkedIn as well as all her other social media platforms, or pop her an email as well. And also let us know your thoughts on our social media platforms. What do you think about nature? What do you think about healing and connecting with nature? Let us know your thoughts on all our social media platforms. But on that note, it is time for us to take an ad break, and we'll come right back.